Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We're here today to review Collision. I'm your host, the problem child, David Robinson, and I'm joined this week, as always. He's the Debbie McGee to my Paul Daniels, as he just said before we started recording. He's the cousin. He's the cousins, but he's not my cousin. But he could be. He's our cousins.
Well,
I think I've had too much caffeine today, mate. I don't know what's going on.
You're taking my caffeine place. Well, we don't have, what's that thing where you can find your family tree? What's that called now? But I could be. I'm everybody's cousins, though, because that realistically is my
There's
name.
something we can do with that, mate. That should be your gimmick. That should be your shtick.
My shtick. We just have to say quickly before we start Collision, Revolution Pro have had a power failure at the moment. So our good buddy, Marcus Trufford, I don't know if he's had his match or what, but unlucky, Mark, if you've had... Well, actually, it might be lucky if you haven't had your match yet, because...
What's main event in that show? Is it Oku?
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
I was tempted to go, but I had to go and watch my son score twice.
What? Go on, Riley.
Go on, boy. 3-2 winners. He scored the first and the winner. So that's the, but this is Canby, though. This is Canby. Man
of the match, was he? Surely to God.
No, their little defender was, we now call him Ellison Maldini. He was brilliant at the back, but awesome. No, not man of the match today, but he'll get one in the future, I'm sure.
Fantastic. I found out just that I can't go to the Rev Pro show with Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. headlining because I'm at Blink 182.
When is that?
14th of October.
Hold on. You sure that's Rev Pro?
WrestleQuest, isn't it? Is that Rev Pro or is that New Japan? It's for WrestleQuest.
Oh, that's that New Japan show. Is that at Box Park?
Yeah. Oh, is it New Japan?
Is that what it is? Yeah. The only reason
accepted it. He accepted the challenge last night, maybe on a show. But then I saw it flash up October the 14th, and I'm like, that date is ringing a bell, and it's the first time I've ever seen Blink 182. So I'm torn. But Blink 182 is in Birmingham, and that match is in London. So logistically, it probably makes sense to go to the gig as well. But anyway, I digress.
You digress.
Collision this week, it was in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I thought it was in Battle Creek last week.
Well, it's the home state of RVD, who we did get an appearance from this week, which was pretty fun. But Collision started out as it always starts out with the little vignettes, a Saturday Night Live tribute, which were pretty good. We had Darby, Christian, we had Ricky Starks, and we had Bryan Danielson. And then we were straight into the triple threat. Darby taking on Christian and Luchasaurus, which was essentially a handicap match, not a triple threat. I think a lot of people assumed or predicted that Christian would be walking out with a title. I know we spoke about it, but I think the intrigue was how they got to that. And I thought this was pretty good stuff. What did you make of the opening match of the night?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Christian Cage, we said this the other day, he's on the form of, he's probably having the run of his career at the minute. And it was just a case of how they were going to get Christian to walk out with the championship. It was quite funny how they even classed him as the new TNT champion when he won the match, even though that he's technically, Luchasaurus was technically champion. But they did sort of plant some seeds with Luchasaurus not being too key, because obviously, as you're going to mention in a minute, Christian kind of took advantage after Luchasaurus had hit Darby the finisher.
So we had an interesting moment in the match where Luchasaurus held the belt, and they commented on, they said that's the first time Luchasaurus has held the belt since he won it.
Yep.
And then I tried to think back, no, surely he must have had it in a backstage segment or nothing, but I don't think he has. I think that was a truthful comment.
Yeah.
Because I know Christian grabbed it as soon as Luchasaurus did beat Wardlow for it.
Yeah.
And the fans was cheering, "That's your belt," which I thought that was pretty cool as well. It was a nice little touch. But yeah, ultimately, Darby hit a PK on Lucha, hit his coffin drop. Christian tossed him out, which was a sick enough bump in its own right. Darby took a somersault from the ring to the floor, and then Christian picks up the win. And then pretty much, no, it wasn't straight after the match. We might as well mention it now. Christian was backstage, and Tony Schiavone informed him that he'd be defending that belt, that he wasn't finished with Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 falls match at Wrestle Dream. And interestingly, Darby has picked up 2 pinfall victories over Christian. So real great. So you look at some things in wrestling stories and you think, was that planned? Was that circumstantial? Was that a happy accident? But I just think that's perfect booking. I really like it. And I'm really interested in the role Luchasaurus plays in that match, and also Nick Wayne. Christian dedicated the win to Nick Wayne's mom in particular. Mate, is that a match at Wrestle Dream that you're interested in? Are you ready to move on from Darby and the TNT title, or do you think there's some great continuation to the story?
I think, well, as you say, he's had 2 pinfall victories over Christian anyway. And Christian hasn't won cleanly that I can regard, I don't think, anyway. Not from a singles point of view. So makes perfect sense. Wrestle Dream. Now, the other part of that, which Tony Khan did say in an interview, I wasn't sure if you're going to mention it later, but he said also an interesting point that Wrestle Dream is going to start the new era in AEW. Okay. Now, I'm wondering... we've mentioned this man quite a bit in our podcast recently, and I'm wondering how much, if anything, that a certain new era could be rated R.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the rumors have been going around, and Edge himself said that his contract was at the end of September. Wrestle Dream first week of October, so it could really work out, in their favor, timing wise. To start with their very first pay-per-view and their very first opportunity that Edge can appear, here he comes out as a massive surprise. So, it'd be interesting. And I think that's something that a lot of people will be thinking about. And another match that was kind of confirmed for Wrestle Dream was the Jericho and Omega teaming up with Ibushi, facing the Don Callis family. And Callis has confirmed that Sammy Guevara and Takeshita will be teaming up with none other than Will Ospreay. Mate, in terms of a trios match, you can't get much higher profile than that 6 men.
Big Bill Ospreay.
BBO.
Big comes back for Wrestle Dream. Yeah, I mean that match should be tremendous. Could be that partnership with Guevara and Callis could really, Guevara needs that elevation anyway, and I think that could be the stomping, because the setup for it. Obviously, Ospreay coming back is obviously huge. So again, for AEW, will this be a permanent thing with AEW and Ospreay soon? I'm thinking that's potentially where it's going to happen.
I would be very shocked if it wasn't, because Callis actually called him another member of the family. So yeah, that's all but confirmed for me that long term Ospreay is committed to AEW. Hopefully, I really hope that he is. And I think Aussie Open probably join that as well at some point. And that perhaps completes the faction once they've got that tag team in there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a great match. And there were other great matches set up for Wrestle Dream. We'll discuss them. But the next match on this card was the aforementioned RVD. Nice. Tag in with your man Hook. Interesting little wrinkle there that was brought up on commentary about when 20 years ago, around that Taz actually teamed up with RVD. And now RVD's teaming up with Taz's son. So that was pretty cool. They were up against 2.0. Decent enough match, pretty quick match. RVD picked up the win after a 5-star on Matt Menard. Hook locked in the red rum on Angelo Parker. I think it served the purpose. I actually like this, and we were talking to Nick Aldis about, and Nick said that about he thinks there should be more of it in wrestling in terms of certain wrestlers, maybe veterans coming in for a certain angle or for a certain spot or a certain match or a certain story. I think the use of RVD, giving him a win in front of his home crowd essentially, was a nice little touch from AEW. Don't know if you felt the same, Ed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he lost when he came in last time, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly, up against Jack Perry.
Yeah, so it was nice and good. When the guy still got it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. He might not be as fast as RVD was, but he can still go in there. Hook was a nice little opponent, as you say, brought a nice little full circle to the the aforementioned tag match with Taz. 2.0 Hager and Anna Jay that they seem to be. Now Hager has now said he's retired from MMA. I heard that as well. So I think he's undefeated in about 3 matches. So he can even say he had that over CM Punk as well if he wants to make that thing. I'm not sure where that whole Hager 2.0 and the J thing goes, but in terms of this match, as you say, served its purpose. RVD gets to win in front of his home crowd, and obviously Hook keeps his momentum rolling as well.
Yeah. Again, great little match, great little TV match. And then following that, we got a couple of backstage bits. We had a vignette with the Dark Order, which was similar to the one we saw last week, which is a little bit strange. They actually had a great performance on Rampage in terms of in-ring. Mm-hmm. So this was a little bit more character work. Jury's still out on that, I think.
Yeah, it's strange, this one.
The next one, though, the Bastions of Neck Strong, I think Nigel McGuinness called them.
I'm sorry, I did write on my notes. Sorry.
The
opening match, the Luchasaurus match.
Yeah,
he said the word that Christian Cage,
the true patriarch of AEW.
Yeah, and he also said that. After the win last time, he bought Luchasaurus a new blanket for his cage.
Yeah, and
just context was just hilarious, and that's another reason why McGuinness is fantastic.
He said that one about the blanket, and at the end of the match, he said, "Luchasaurus doesn't care as long as he gets food in his bowl." I thought that was just so funny. The commentary in AEW, I mean, on Rampage as well, we had Ian Riccaboni on commentary for the whole of it, and I thought that was great as well. We got JR in the main event on Collision. I think the commentary team is perfection at the minute at AEW, and I hope that that's the long-term lineup, and I think it probably will be.
I say take Excalibur out of that for me. I'm not a fan of Excalibur, but everybody else, Shibari gets a bit too company excited, like this is a great match when they've just literally walked out to the ring. You know, he gets a bit too like that. But I prefer Collision is the best commentary, I think, in wrestling at the minute on Collision.
Riccaboni makes me want to watch Ring of Honor, as like to add that to my weekly wrestling watch as well. He's such a great commentator.
Kevin Kelly hasn't missed a beat.
No, he's fantastic.
He was the Ring of Honor commentator, was he not? Back when Ring of Honor was a separate entity to
quite possibly. He's been the voice of Japan for a long while. Yeah. But anyway, back to the Bastions of Neck Strong. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. We've talked about these in terms of what they've added to the story in their role.
Yeah,
so funny. I thought this was really good. And Bennett's line about hitting pile drivers in support of neck health was a great little line as well. So they've challenged the best friends. I don't know if that's a Wrestle Dream. I think it's a Collision match probably for next Saturday. I think that's probably when it's going to happen. But that should be a good match. And talking about good matches or good competitors, one of my favorites was up next, and she made a return to in-ring wrestling on Rampage, and we saw her again tonight. I love Julia Hart. I really think they've got something there with her in terms of, I've talked about the presentation and the theme music, her in-ring ability, some of the little things she does. I'll let you discuss it a bit more, but she's on a hell of a run as well. 25 or 26-0 now. She was up against Kiera Hogan, and I don't think there was any great surprise that she picked up the win, and it wasn't a particularly long match. But mate, are you excited about Julia Hart as much as I am? Do you think she's playing that role as well as I think she is?
She's playing it better than I thought she would. Because obviously, come out, she was that cheerleader for Griff Garrison. Was it Griff Garrison? Is that was his name?
Griff Garrison and
Pillman Jr. Wasn't it? They were kind of
Varsity Blondes.
Varsity Blondes. That was it. And they were, she was a cheerleader for that. But this role really suits her. It's kind of weird. I think what's she like? She's like 21, 22.
Julia 21, I think she's.
And she's still learning. If you look at like the people she's could technically learn from now in the House of Black, Buddy and Malachi and even Brody, she's got the right people there. But I'm really intrigued now because she's got Statlander at Wrestle Dream. Now, is it going to be too early to put it on her, or are they going to do quite a quick change? And that's one of the matches I'm really not sure about, because Julia Hart for me has probably been one of the most, I would say, like, what was the word I'm trying to think of here? In terms of it, it's been a really good year. She's broken out this year, Julia Hart, from this silly sort of, cheerleader thing to an evil, kind of like an evil bitch in a way.
Transformation. It's like a witch. Yeah. She's portraying an
That's
evil
witch. Yeah, I said the B word, but yeah, witch probably a better option from it. And she's great, and she's got missed as well, because Sky Blue, because she had locked that hold on her longer on Kiera than when she won, didn't she?
Well, on Rampage, she faced Sky Blue, and she did exactly the same.
Oh, did she?
She locked the Heartless submission hold on Sky Blue, so that's why she came out. I'm not sure what happened with Willow, and I think there was meant to be a video package or something with the house like taking Willow out, and for whatever reason they didn't air it, or there was a problem with it. So I think that was the reason Willow didn't come out, because she did come out on Rampage.
Right,
maybe she wasn't there or something. But ultimately, once that had happened, Brody said, "This will not end." Yeah, Brody King got on the mic. "This will not end until we get back to the last loss." And that's set up, as you say, Statlander versus Julia at Wrestle Dream, which, again, I'm really curious as to where they go with that. I'm a Statlander fan, but I really, really like what they've done with Julia. Or, not to say what she's done herself, in terms of bringing this character to life. I'm so excited to talk about this episode of Collision. I thought it was great, but another act that I'm really digging, which is quite poignant that I say that, is the Righteous.
Yes.
We saw a little vignette from behind, and it's no wonder that Bray Wyatt, rest his soul, had pinpointed particularly Vincent as somebody that he wanted to work with in the rumoured Wyatt 6 faction that we never got. But he did confirm on a podcast episode a few weeks back that it had been discussed, it was in the works, it was something that was a possibility. I think now they've been really introduced to the mainstream. I know they've been in Ring of Honor, but we're seeing just what Bray saw in this team. What's your takes on the Righteous, Ed?
It reminds me of a Wyatt family, in the way, the old Wyatt family. In a way they are. You love the clicking, didn't you? It was quite weird, because you remember Uncle Howdy, he had like a kind of thing with his hand that he used to do when he comes out. So that was kind of what you was mentioning there about the Righteous joining the White Six. They would have had the click in. You would have had Uncle Howdy with the little hand turn and stuff. These guys are great. They was taken on the Hardys, I think, last week. I think that might have been on the page last week, and I was like, oh, okay. And I saw that the Righteous won, and I hadn't. Again, I didn't watch Ring of Honor prior to the coming on, so I hadn't really known a lot about them. It was quite surprising, but that was probably like the second week that I've seen a promo from them. And then what I did was started going back and watching them. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, these guys have got better than you, baby. They have.
They've got Adam Cole and MJF up at Wrestle Dream for the Ring of Honor titles.
I think they need those titles off of them too. I think the Righteous need to win that.
Okay.
I know you're saying that. I think, because obviously at some point we've got to see a split between. We don't even have to see the split. I mean, it could easily be the Kingdom cost the Righteous. Yeah. Potentially. Not the Righteous, Kingdom cost Cole and MJF.
I wouldn't mind that. If it is a bit early in the story, perhaps, then maybe the Kingdom are the ones that ultimately take the belts off them down the line. That would kind of wrap everything up. But either way, I'm really interested in seeing this match, and I love catchphrases. I love, as I say, the click in and just little bits like that. And the one that Brody Lee used to do when he was Luke Harper, that thing. I've always paid attention to those little details, and just for whatever reason I've just enjoyed them. The Righteous have got a lot of that going on, and they say they're going to purify the lies at Wrestle Dream. Following that, we got some Collision, Stalwarts, Bullet Club Gold. I know you're a huge fan, Ad. I'm going to pass it over to you, mate. Jay White versus Andrade. A dream match for me, a match that could have easily been on pay-per-view at Wrestle Dream or another pay-per-view. We got it for free on Collision. What were your thoughts on this match, mate? What are your thoughts on the Bang Bang Gang?
They are the best thing right now in wrestling. Simple as that. people say, with the bloodline stuff going on WWE, with the Judgment Day going on WWE, and then you get this, and it's like before. I will always say, and I will hold my hands up and say that AEW got Jay White right in the end, because when he debuted in there, me and Andy sat there and were like, this guy is meant to be, a superstar, and we were getting messages from some former members of Team Buckle saying how great Jay White is, and we're like, well, we haven't seen this. He just got come in, he just run out on a debut. Finally, they're doing something right. This group is brilliant. The match itself was absolutely fantastic. Two guys that are, literally put them in the ring together, and it is just a dream to watch. It's a wrestle dream, funnily enough, Dave, as we got alluded to as the pay-per-view next week. But this match was brilliant. It was a shame that it's weird that one of them had to lose.
Yeah,
a lot of momentum going for both. But I am waiting for LFI. That is right, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This match, again, I keep talking about Rampage. It was a great episode of Rampage. It was a 2-hour one, but they had a little backstage vignette, or their little. It wasn't an interview as such. It was just the four of them talk. Well, five of them if you include Cardblade, and they were
not included.
Yeah, it was really, really funny little segment. But Jay White just started talking, and I just hang off every word he says. I think he's so good on the microphone. So I kind of been looking forward to this match, and they just did not disappoint. The moonsault spot as well, that Andrade did a moonsault to all of them on the outside, and then he did the moonsault, landed on his feet. Jay White rolled over, and then he did a standing moonsault.
Second one, I've got a 2.5 or 2 3/4, whatever it is.
There was dragon screws that I really enjoyed. There was the elbow by Andrade. But the ending was he hit the double knees in the corner, which just looked rough. Good, but it looked painful. It could have easily finished the match. And Jay White, he got his foot on the rope, but it was Juice Robinson that placed it there. He was doing great work on the outside of the ring as well. Really funny. And I turn the volume up whenever Juice Robinson is at ringside, because I'm just listening out for some of the things that he's saying. Then the Guns distracted the ref. Juice got in the ring, and he took out Andrade with his Collision Cowboy of the Month award. And then Jay hit the Blade Runner for the win. And as you say, surely we're going to be seeing a bit of a faction warfare, and Andrade is going to get some backup from Roosh and company. Dralistico, Preston Vance. That's a 8-man tag that we're looking forward to seeing, isn't it, mate?
Oh yes, probably Full Gear.
Yeah, I thought so. I think Wrestle Dream is packed out enough now.
It's stacked now.
Yeah, there's another week to go, which concerns me a little bit.
Another 6 matches come on.
Leave it alone now, Tony. Please. As I say, you've got Full Gear around the corner.
Less is more sometimes.
They're on such a great run. I think Jericho was at Busted Open if the company was in better shape than it was a month ago. So they didn't directly reference anybody, but more of the backstage. And Jericho answered quite unanimously, yes, it is better. And you're seeing that on the screen as well. You are seeing, I mean, the Young Bucks look revitalized. Hangman looks like a new man. I think the whole roster has had a lift. And unfortunately, sometimes if there is backstage issues and stuff dragging the team down, then you've got to make those tough decisions, which Tony Khan made. But I definitely think it's paying off now. Somebody that we've seen more of lately is Mike Santana. It looks like he's going to be heading towards a match with his former partner Ortiz.
It's going to be interesting though, because they don't like it. So this is the whole thing about what could have happened.
Yes, yeah.
When we're talking about the old people, Punk and stuff like that. This is the type of one. So obviously they don't like each other, but at the same time working against each other.
Yeah.
Is money, because they're going to know that people are going to be invested, because they know that smart people like us and others will know there's legitimate issues with them. So now this makes this match. I mean, the promos from both of them have been fantastic.
Really good.
This week, wasn't it? With the one up against, you had the Santana one last week where he kind of sort of said he's going alone and all that. He's going
Dolo.
Dolo.
I've had a new word to my vocabulary after that.
But these two, there's going to be, when these two go at it, it's going to be great. And also because there is that element of them not liking each other. Sometimes that real life heat makes it better. And as long as they do, and they will do business right, because they are more people, they're going to be more into it and doing the business right. It's a money feud because of that reason. And just that's what other things should have been.
Exactly. And as I say, we don't know the full details, but there's no smoke without fire. Yeah, that's right.
That's it.
Yeah,
you got Dolo.
right.
That's a saying for you.
Yeah. So something's happened, and Mike Santana's been injured as well, but the intrigue is there. Ortiz kind of said, which was a little bit of a scathing comment, you always run from your problems. Well, you're not going to run for much longer. So I thought that was a great little line as well. To start we've got the foundations here of a feud, and as I say, we've got some real life stuff potentially in the background as well. So I'm sure when they actually come to blows, it's going to be fireworks. Talking about fireworks, we always get fireworks from FTR. Yes. Best tag team in the world right now. I don't think there's much of an argument, really.
For me,
best tag team of all time, maybe. They're in the conversation. But they were they were up against a team in an open challenge tonight that I think they really kind of opened a few people's eyes. It was the WorkHorsemen, who we have seen in AEW, but it was their first appearance on Collision. WorkHorsemen are JD Drake and Anthony Henry.
Yep.
And we had Aussie Open. They were quite dapper in their suits. They joined Nigel and Kevin on commentary for the match as well, to get up close and personal and see who they're going to be facing at Wrestle Dream. Get a closer up look. What did you think? It was a relatively short match, which ultimately FTR won. But they really impressed me, mate, in this, the WorkHorsemen, and JD Drake in particular. The moonsault again, another moonsault. But for a big guy, he can move, really can shift.
Step up Inzaguri and a cannonball as well. JD Drake. I mean, these guys are going to be great.
Yeah, I think so.
6 months. Give them some TV time. Are they on Ring of Honor? Have they done some Ring of Honor stuff?
I think they must be. I mean, I saw them really on Dark and Elevation and sporadic appearances on Dynamite and stuff. They were also, JD Drake was also part of the Wingmen, which I think now is a defunct group that involved Nemeth and the big Italian
could get another Nemeth
guy. Hopefully. It depends what your opinion is on it. I think a run for Dolph in AEW, or Nick Nemeth in AEW, could be a great thing for them. But the Wingmen seem to be a thing of the past, but the WorkHorsemen, sorry. The WorkHorsemen are very much a thing of the present. And as you say, great showing from these. Great team. It'll be interesting to see now whether they get more of an opportunity on the likes of Collision and Dynamite.
They need to. Even in defeat. I mean, stick them everywhere in a minute. Give them 6 months, and then they'll be right up there. Just don't put Aussie Open on commentary anymore.
Didn't you enjoy that?
Not a fan of Aussie Open on commentary. Was fine with their suits, look good. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
And when they get in the ring, they're mustard. They just, for me, they didn't work on commentary. But as you say, FDR, they was always going to win the match. So I think that was never in doubt. It's always good to see them. But you're right. These WorkHorsemen, they could live up to their name, and give them 6 months. And we'll see where they are. They look very promising from what I saw.
Well, up next for FTR is obviously Aussie Open. It's a rematch from last year. Aussie Open have said they've grown exponentially since last year. They've gained more experience. They've gained more titles. And that, for me, could be a show stealer come week today at the pay-per-view at Wrestle Dream. And Wrestle Dream is it's kind of a tribute show to Anthony Inoki. So it'd be interesting to see what video packages and bits and pieces. I think AEW have really stepped up the game in terms of those video packages in recent months. I know they got some guys in from WWE, and they might get some more guys in now after the Office releases, as we mentioned on that Dynamite review. But the video packages have been great, and I'm sure they will put a fantastic Inoki package together for next Sunday, mate.
I also want to shout out the NWA for their production as well, because they have spent money, and their cold, the cold open thing that you get on Collision where they talk about the matches.
Yeah,
their cold open kind of dictates the show.
Yeah.
For example, last week's was a Dark Carnival, and they made it from La Rebellion and the Clowns, who have got the feud going. So it was a real good opener to that, and they've done it every week so far. So their production has increased. You're right, AEW's production and video package quality has very much increased. You're right. They've got a few guys from WWE. There may be a few more on the horizon. There was a 100+ office cuts last week after their merger. There were 21 as it stands releases. In the coming out. I don't know if Riddle is there anyone a fan of Riddle in AEW?
Well, I don't know about in terms of people at AEW. I'm a fan of Riddle. I know he's got his problems and stuff backstage and some substance abuse things. But I think he's a really talented guy, and I'm kind of sad that we're not going to see the reunion with Orton. I'm hoping he can sort his life out and get himself back to the WWE at some point to kind of finish that story, because I think to say we've been robbed of it is harsh, because he's just lost his job. But I definitely think there was more there. I don't think that story had finished.
Yeah, that hasn't finished.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily want to see Riddle in AEW as much as I think he's a great performer and everything. No, I want him to get back in the WWE. I want him to find his way there. I mean, if he appears in AEW temporarily or comes into something, then I wouldn't be complaining at all. But my hopes for him would be to get back to the WWE and get him standing side by side with Orton, and one day 1-on-1 with Orton. I think that would be surely what he expected, what he wanted, what he thought he was working towards. I know Randy's been injured for a long time, but he's actually been cited a few times lately. I think he was at I don't know if it's a basketball game or a college football game.
He was back at the Performance Center this week.
Yeah, he was there as well. Yeah.
Andy might be happy that you want Riddle back in WWE.
I know he's not a big Riddle fan, is he?
He's not a big Riddle fan. We'll see what happens with Riddle. To be honest with you, obviously with Dana White there as well. Dana White hates him.
He's got his enemies. That told me that. Yeah,
he's got his enemies there. But in terms of the video quality on Collision, it's been out. The back stuff, the video stuff, the packages they do. Yeah. Collision's great for that.
I know you mentioned the NWA, and we'll get back on track in a minute. But I've got to mention OVW as well. I've been watching that wrestlers documentary, and I've reached out to a few of the guys actually in that documentary, some of the OVW stars that I'd love to have a chat with. But their production values as well, so good. And we've often mentioned it after we've been to UK indie shows, whether that's Rev Pro, whether that's Ignite, whether that's BCCW. Just how good and how professional these shows are, and it's no wonder wrestling is doing so well across the globe right now. Everything has stepped up their game significantly from the talent that's always been good, but they've seemed to the majority of talent have stepped it up a gear, if that was possible, and everything around the shows and the WWE shows less formulaic. What I really like that. I think for a time with WWE there was a lot of, this is the WWE way, and it was a little bit boring and samey, and they don't do that anymore, which I think, I just think every company that I've watched, whether it's a small indie company over here or whether it's the biggest company in the world in the WWE, are doing some really great things at the minute, and the production values are just, phenomenal. So worth mentioning. In talking about phenomenal, Texas Deathmatch was up. It was our main event. This story's been building for weeks. Ricky Starks and the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. This didn't disappoint me at all. I was going into it, I was a little unsure about the method of victory. But it was essentially, mate, I don't know if this was your interpretation as well. It was similar to a last man standing, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Knock their opponent down for 10 seconds. This went all over the place. It went in the crowd. We had a great moment. Danielson threw a bin, a full garbage bin at Ricky Starks. He threw a pint of beer over his head as well, which was taken from the fans. So I don't know if he got that cleared to begin with, based off the rumours a few weeks back about what they could and couldn't do when they were in the crowd. But I think Danielson, particularly with Collision, he's got kind of free reign, and rightly so, to be honest, in a Texas death match. So really there shouldn't be any holding back to a degree. What else did we get? The win, we got a ring bell to Danielson's head from Ricky. That busted him open, and then Ricky kind of concentrated his attack then on Danielson's head. But it was Bryan Danielson that ultimately picked up the victory. Psycho knee, wrapped his leg in the chain. I've watched that back a few times, mate. It looked perfect. Don't get me wrong. it looked painful. I don't think there's two. I don't think he held back with that one at all. But Ricky Starks did have to go, staying there for 10 seconds. He was up to his feet, and it kind of set up another little face-to-face. We had Big Bill there. We had Wheeler Yuta there. So it remains to be seen whether this finished. But, mate, what a main event.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was, we know this is probably Danielson's last year, by the sounds of it. So he wants to go out with a bang match like this. I mean, I was just praying that he wasn't going to get injured, because obviously next week he's got Zack Sabre Jr. and we've spoken about before, just as we started the show. And I want to get that match to happen. But this match itself, I mean, if anyone had any doubt over Ricky Starks, and I don't see how anyone could have by now, there's no more doubt over Ricky Starks. After this match was brutal, it had everything it needed to. It was definitely more of a last man standing in a Texas death match, but that's absolutely fine. I'm cool with that. And it was just a great way. If you needed to elevate Starks more, they've just done it quite with just that match on its own.
Yeah, I've got to believe as well the fact that Starks was left off All In this year. He wasn't at All In, was he at all?
No.
In Wembley. I think that's because there's big plans for him at All In next year. Whether that's world title, I don't know. But I just think Ricky Starks is too good to not be at the top of the card. And I said this to my dad. And I'll tell you something else that I said to my dad as well in a minute, because we watched the main event together. But if they don't utilize Ricky Starks, he's got a very good friend by the name of Cody Rhodes over in WWE. And I'm sure it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to get him a job over there.
Well, it may well be too much of a stretch, but my goodness me, if you've seen what I sent you today about what they're going to be potentially doing with Cody Rhodes, I'm not entirely sure that if you're Ricky Starks and you see that, I don't know. I'm more thinking, do you even want to be in WWE?
Just to clear that up for anybody watching that don't know what we're talking about. So I think it was a house show that he was attacked by Omos.
Yeah.
So it's looked like that's setting up a match with the Nigerian Giant, which, does anybody want to see that?
Do I want to see it?
Does anybody want to see that?
I was going to say, you're asking. Listen, Omos done really well against Rollins. So when he had a match against Rollins, I think it was Backlash. It was like 2-week build.
I did see that match.
He did do well, but like
I attributed that more to Seth, though, to be honest.
Of course, Seth done a lot more work on that than needed, but. No, I don't want to see it, and I don't understand what's going on there with Cody and Omos. But Ricky Starks, if he's watching that sort of stuff, he needs to because obviously I think his contract's up next year as well. I think Ricky, I'm sure I read Ricky's contract was up in 2024. I think
well be.
I mean, I don't know. That would give me second thoughts.
As long as he's continuing to have bangers like this, main eventing collisions in featured matches against the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, I don't think he'll be going anywhere, and I hope he's not, because I just think he can keep getting better and better. I don't think he's reached his potential at all, and that's a fantastic thing for fans to. Same with MJF. As good as he is, he's got years to grow and continue to improve somehow. So I think both of those guys, MJF and Ricky Starks, I think they're the future of AEW. The other thing I said to carry on, mate, sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Cool. Go on. The other thing I said to my dad, I said, Dad, kind of do not take this last run of Bryan Danielson for granted. Appreciate every moment, enjoy every match, because as good as he is and as good as everyone says he is and knows he is, I think we're really going to know that even more, appreciate even more once he's retired, and we miss him, and we're kind of craving another Danielson match. So do you feel the same, mate, that you're just going to try and enjoy every single moment of this last full-time run anyway?
Yeah, you absolutely got to. And you're right. Once he goes, you're going to be like, because then there'll be another guy come for you, like, Danielson would have been great with him. And you'll be talking about that. Every match that he has, over the next few weeks and months as we get into his retirement is just to enjoy it, watch it, live it.
Have we ever had Danielson Osprey? I don't think
Don't get me excited. No, not that I'm aware of.
No, same.
And I feel as if that will potentially be one of his matches that he would want to add to his, maybe a trilogy with Osprey that he would want to add to his bucket list. If he's got one, he's obviously got a bucket list.
Now, I don't know. I mean, even if it did happen, it must have been pre-WWE for Bryan,
definitely.
like Daniel Bryan,
Yeah.
WWE character. So Ospreay wouldn't have been anywhere near as good as he is now, or
No.
the total performer that he is now.
Yeah.
So maybe something happened on the. I don't know. I don't know when Ospreay's career started. So, well, I'll have a look into
30.
that. Yeah. So okay. So I don't think that match has ever happened. I'd be pretty confident in saying that.
Right.
So that's
while we're on, let me just have a look.
Yeah. Well, that match for me is one that's got a headline, a pay-per-view down the line. Even if it has happened, I think it's got to happen again. Two of the very best. Ospreay for me is the best in the world right now in terms of singles competitors. And I'm not just saying that because he's from our little island. He's just absolutely sensational. Had the pleasure and the privilege of seeing him live a couple of times. And as you mentioned earlier, it's pretty much a lock to be joining AEW in a few months' time when his New Japan contract comes to an end. Have you found that, mate?
I have looked. He has, as far as I can see, there is no matches. However, Ospreay in the last few days has called out Bryan Danielson.
Awesome.
Thinks he can beat the injury-prone wrestler very easily.
Okay, well, there you go. That's maybe full gear if but if they're starting to set something up like that, those comments aren't, they're there for a reason,
They are. So get excited, wrestling fans, because that is going to be, I've got a feeling that will be happening.
Yeah. Quick question for me, mate, before we wrap things up. Kota Ibushi in another featured match at Wrestle Dream, which is great. As I mentioned earlier, what a 6-man. That's going to be a sensational match. Yeah. But I did mention recently that I want to see a bit more of Kota on week to week on Dynamite or Collision, and we haven't got it. He's just come in. This will be his third match. The first one was actually on a Dynamite, but it was Blood and Guts. So it was like a pay-per-view Dynamite, if you like, the special. And then we got him an All-In, and then was he at All Out? I don't think he was. He wasn't, was he?
No.
So this will be his third match, but we haven't had anything else in terms of backstage or vignettes or nothing. Are you a little bit disappointed in that? Because I am, to be honest. I've got to be honest. Because I'm not as familiar with Omega and Ibushi's run. Yeah. I am familiar with it. I've seen bits, I've read bits, but I didn't watch it as it happened. So I'm just living off the bits and pieces we get from the commentary and Don Callis. Would you like to know a little bit more about that, or is it just me?
I will sort of kind of agree with it. I've been disappointed with Ibushi in AEW. I have not. I mean, and I think more so because maybe it's not been in one-on-one matches. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
I've not seen enough. I mean, you hear bits in Japan, but we never really had an opportunity to watch it over there. So you're right. I want to understand a bit more about that.
Do you think that could be his reluctance to sign a contract with AEW? Perhaps a contract's been offered and he's reluctant to kind of toe himself down, or
maybe
maybe it's visa issues with
Could be, but I need to see him. I've not been that impressed with him, to be quite honest, going for like those 3 matches. But then they don't showcase him though, do they? Those 3 matches were showcasing, everybody. A
little bit of everyone, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe get him in a one-on-one match down the line with maybe Takeshita down the line. There you go, get in there, man. Listen, I had to do an NWA pay-per-view name the other week, and I've done it now, so I'm getting on with the name, Jeff. Maybe we'll get him on, but get him in the ring with give him a one-on-one, because I know that was their next target, wasn't it? That was the next target.
Yeah, that's who they were going to take out. So I think that will continue after this 6-month.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get maybe we'll get him an Ospreay one-on-one. I don't know. And we're going to need something like that because I need to see Ibushi, sorry, Okada.
Yeah,
still mighty.
I need more of I'm quite happy for more of Okada.
More Okada as well.
Probably be Forbidden Door.
Yeah, but I need to see more of Ibushi. I need to see more of him in a one-on-one to actually let him have a match on his own with someone to see if he can carry him, what he's like. So jury's out for me. I've not been.
Yeah, I mean, he's in great shape. It's to say he hasn't wrestled much in recent years, really. The past year, he hasn't wrestled a great deal. So maybe they're trying not to overdo it, but it's a strange one. I'd like to know a little bit more information about that, and I'll look into it, mate. But overall for me, Collision, at least an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
maybe an 8.5. Where are you scoring it, bud?
Yeah, 8 for me. It wasn't as good as Dynamite in my opinion.
It's been a good week, hasn't it? Wrestling this week in general.
Good week. SmackDown was decent as well, and me and Andy haven't managed to get that done. I must get hold of him actually and find out when he wants to do that.
Yeah.
SmackDown was decent as well. There was a COVID issue on SmackDown. It's kind of it was a bit.
That was LA Night related, wasn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was the end. They had to change the ending of the show, which was unfortunate due to that. But yeah, that been a good week, and we've got a good week coming up. I mean, Tuesday, you booked a very interesting interview of a guy we don't really know a lot about.
We don't know. So it was a guy that he's with AEWW, Alternative Wrestling World.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I was saying World Wrestling, but I think it's Alternative Wrestling World. And a company down here in the Midlands, we've mentioned them before. Guys like Pete Dunne started off their careers there. We spoke to Metal Militia.
Yeah, that's a song as well, I think, by the way.
Yeah. We spoke to those guys, Donnie Sparks, Axel Steele, their world champion. We had them on last week. And we've got one of their fellow competitors, one of the younger guys that's been with the company a few years now. And we saw his story on social media. It was on Facebook. We both saw it and commented on it. And it was just about being a smaller guy and perhaps people kind of saying to him, you shouldn't be a wrestler, you can't be a wrestler, you can't do this, that. And now he's performing for AWW on shows on a regular basis and got himself a little bit of a following as well. And we saw that story, mate, and we both reached out and said, hey, if you want to come on and tell everybody, a few other people your story, we're open ears. So that's Tuesday night.
Yeah, that is Tuesday. Look, we're always open to see what people, stories and getting some more independent guys on and companies on. And speaking of companies on Friday, Wednesday, sorry. Hopefully you can join. I know it's baby week for you this week, so we are waiting to see when you get your paternity leave. We give you that sort of stuff on this channel as well. We allow that kind of jazz. We've also got Alex Echo. From Jurassic Pro Wrestling coming on Wednesday morning to talk about their second anniversary show, which is a week Sunday. I will be there to see. I'm pretty sure a couple of Team Buckle and possibly Chris from Ignite, CJ Carter may be there with Team Buckle to say hello. I've got to confirm that with Chris or CJ, but that's happening. I think Ignite may be announcing another name this week for the November show.
Awesome.
And if it is who I think it is, it's a very exciting name indeed. I cannot. Chris would kill me. CJ would kill me if I even go as far as mentioning the name of who it is. But it's
don't tell me over. I want the surprise for as long as we possibly can.
It is. Yeah, I won't tell you. You'll give it away next week.
Just keep it secret.
Yeah, but it's going to be huge. But we're going to talk to Alex on Wednesday. Hopefully, Dave, you could join. But it'll be great to speak to Alex and understand a bit more how they're 2 years old, so that's their anniversary. But I want to know a bit more about the backstory, how it all began, what happened. You don't just wake up one day and think, I'll run a wrestling show today. It doesn't work like that. So I want to find out more about that. So we've got some different and interesting interviews this week. We had some great ones last week. You say Metal Metallic, we had Maven was on as well.
Yeah, it was a great one.
I could give it a little bit away. We've had responses from people that have been released by WWE. Positive responses. Obviously, we can't do anything with them until December, January time. So it could end the year and start the year with some very interesting names on the list.
I've got a bit of homework as well prior to signing off for paternity, because I'm going to reach back out with George Lydon, who's interested in coming on, so he'll come and have a chat with us. We want to catch up with Millie McKenzie, who's been in Japan, so it'd be great to catch up with Millie. And also the legend, and would he be a Hall of Famer in the WWE one day? Perhaps. He's definitely wrestling. He's in wrestling in general. I'd say he's a Hall of Famer in the man known as Raven. I think we've got to just tie him down to a date. His representatives have kind of agreed, and he's happy to come on the show. He's just recovering from shoulder surgery, so that's another big name for Tim Buckle and another, I'm sure, mate, great conversation.
Oh, mate, that one when that does happen, I think it's just going to be one we're just going to sit there and just say, there you go. Yeah. You've got an hour, mate, go.
Just talk, just tell us. I really do think that. And we've had a couple of those where we've just kind of sat there captivated and listening to hanging off every word.
DDPs, the EC3s, the Cardonas, there was another one, Zach Zodiac. There's been a few that we've had where it's just been,
an absolute treat.
pinching yourself though, isn't it? You're
Yeah.
like, I know that we're not physically in the same room as them, but we're like, behind a camera with people that we grow up with, watching and love watching, and just to even have 40 odd minutes of their time.
Raven, man, for me, I didn't. I saw Raven first in WCW, and then I went back and saw some of his ECW stuff.
Yeah.
But the flock, and when he used to come out and do that pose, and he kind of looked. He had the like the flannel top tied around his waist, and the long hair, and the Rock t-shirts on. Not the Rock,
not the Rock. No, not the
rock and roll.
Yeah.
He came out to like a version of. It wasn't Nevermind. Come As You Are by Nirvana. It was a version of that WCW version of that, similar to where they had the Smells Like Teen Spirit for DDP, version of it, and they had that. And I just absolutely I thought that was my ringtone on an old phone that I had before proper ringtones that we got now. Just remember like the MIDI, MIDI files. And I had Raven's theme for years as my ringtone when I was a teenager. So for me, like Raven will be a huge get for Team Turnbuckle, and
it'd be a big get for us, along with a load of others as well that we just mentioned. So we can't disclose who in the WWE has come back to us. It wouldn't be right or fair. Suffice to say, they've had a lot of interest, which is always going to be the way when you get released from a big company. Everyone's after your pound of flesh, so to speak. But also to shout, this time next week, me, Andy, Rachel from Team Buckle. Obviously, Dave, a bit difficult for you in the circumstances.
It's not a no.
It's not a no, but it's not a yes. We will be in Cardiff for Slam Masters, the show next Sunday.
That's going to be a great show.
It is going to be a great show. We're going to be meeting the stars of Slam Masters before the show as well. Thanks to Blanche and Dangerous Danny Owens and Brucey Blanche from Beers and Beatdowns, who have sorted us out the meet and greet stuff. So we're going to be meeting Ace Austin, Subculture, Wild Boar, everyone, pretty much everyone, the who's who. And we're going to be a part of the Bullet Club properly. I'm going to get a chance to be a part of the Bullet Club properly next week as well. But I do have to wear my Beers and Beatdowns top. It's just... Can't go wearing a Bullet. I'll change it and wear the Bullet Club later. Maybe I'll wear the Bullet Club for the meet and greet, but then I'll put whilst I'm queuing up, I'll have the Beers and Beatdowns top on, and then quickly have a change.
It probably doesn't fit you anymore, mate, with the amount of weight you've lost. That
mate,
in the Turnbuckle shirts when we were at the Ignite show, it was like a tent.
It was like a tent, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to either put weight back on or get new shirts. I've got to do a new merch order anyway. You want a hoodie? So
yes, I do.
I've got to get a new order in place anyway. So I'll get a size or two down. And
I'm going to do the ultimate. Like, I'm going to be a mark for myself, and I'm going to get me a t-shirt with my own face on, with the headphones on. I don't think they'll sell many, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, but you can have Problem Child on the back or something. That's why I need a gimmick, man. I was Adam C. Baby, but
we're working on it. There's something there with the cousin thing, but yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board.
Everybody's favorite cousin.
Everybody's cousin. Yeah,
that's got to be it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm going to try and go for the outro. Get it wrong the majority of the times I'll do it. I was on a good run.
And also, you've got to stop the recording.
I have, yeah. So multitasking, not a strong point. Stace will tell you that. Right. It's time to bid you adieu. Goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Ang.